out there. I can't see where because I've got everything in the way. Oh, too big. Let's see what is going on, guys. We got 4 people in here right now. There's GTA Outdoors, the Bass Nazi out there. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. I'll give you guys some shout outs. And then what I'm going to do is we'll wait for a few other people to get in here. Hey, there's my buddy down in the South Kakalaki, Joey. He's a guy I met through actually doing YouTube. Me and him's been real good friends. What's up, Tackle Junkie, man? What's going on? What's going on, Kevin? Dirk, what's up, brother? All right, we got 20 people in here watching right now. So here's what I'm going to do. Hey, guys, I know I haven't done a live stream in a long time, and forgive me. I have been truly, truly busy. But I've got somebody with me today that I want to introduce you to, and most of you probably already know him. He is literally out west with Chris, literally, and that's his channel name too. He does a lot of multi-species angling stuff that I have no clue about. So hopefully he's going to educate us on a lot of other things like big trout, something that I've wanted to catch for a long time. He's got some great sturgeon stories. I'm sure he can tell us. I've never caught one. I'd love to catch one. They're basically a dinosaur. He fishes from the bank. He fishes. He wades. He camps. Man, he does a little bit of everything. He's not just a fishing channel, so he's very diverse. But guys, out west with Chris, I'm just going to turn it over to you because I seem to be stumbling all over myself right now.
It's all good.
But go ahead, man. Tell us about your channel.
What's going on, guys? So like Hank, the BassGeek, just said, my name is Chris. I live out in California. Don't hold it against me. Don't hold it against me. A lot of what I do fishing-wise is fish the California Delta. It's a tidal estuary that holds pretty nice largemouth bass. And then it has seasonal striped bass and salmon, and I mean, there's a little bit of everything out here. And yeah, that's my backyard, so that's what I fish the most. But I also, I fish some of the lakes around here. I'm fishing Lake Berryessa on Sunday. It's Clear Lake around here. Some other lakes that have some spotted bass fisheries, some smallmouth fisheries, that type of stuff. So. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. You even travel up north out on the West Coast. I've seen you fish Oregon and maybe even Washington.
Yeah, I grew up in Washington, so I actually didn't grow up bass fishing, Hank. I don't know if you knew that, but I grew up in Washington State and grew up fishing trout streams. Spinning rods. That's why people call them fairy sticks and stuff, but they're like the most comfortable thing for me because that's what I've been fishing my whole life, right? But grew up fishing a lot of streams, some farm ponds for bass, but I travel up there occasionally and fish with family when I go up there to visit family. I go up to Oregon. I got a buddy who Dean. He and I do a podcast together, and Hank's been on the podcast. Two times with 3 episodes. One of those episodes was a bonus episode where we just drank and talked shit about stuff. So that was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. So I go up with him, and he lives at a spot where they catch, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-pound trout on a consistent basis. And so, we do that out of a kayak, and man, I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy. I don't know what to say. I get, a lot of opportunities to fish with cool people and make friends and learn new stuff and that type of thing. So,
yeah, the bass fishery that he's talking about, the California Delta, it's one of the best in the countries and and everybody knows about Clear Lake that he mentioned. Berryessa, I don't know if that I'd heard of that or before he had started telling me about it. And but the Delta and Clear Lake definitely are two of my bucket list lakes that I'd love to come and get the opportunity to fish one day. They're amazing.
Yeah. You know, Hank, I don't know. Like Barry, I fished the Delta. I fished the Delta all the damn time. I fished Clear Lake, I think three times now. I only started fishing Berryessa this year. I've only fished it 4 times, and it gives me fits. And that's why I like your channel, because there's some similarities in Berryessa, and I think some of the lakes you fish out there on the East Coast. But one cool thing about Berryessa is you can get a trifecta there, man. You can get a largemouth, a smallmouth, and a spot. So it's kind of cool, you know, and you can get some pretty big smallmouths, largemouths, and spots out of there. So it could be a good one for you to
Yeah.
come check out sometime.
And it's really clear water too, right?
Super clear, yeah.
I'd say
I don't know what
the
I don't know what the visibility is now, but the last time I was up there, it had to be 15 to 20 feet.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was
about
it's pretty good.
The small lake, top secret Lake P that I fish all the time. That's about it. Stays about 12 to 15 feet clear. So
yeah,
but it's vertical banks. Now it's not very deep because it's a smaller lake, but you know, like it's probably, you know, the creek channel on average probably runs like 36, 37 feet. But now the bigger lakes around me, you know, they can drop off into the hundreds of feet. But you know, that little lake is a nice little highlands. Water temperature stays a little cooler, so summer fishing's a little funner out there on that lake. So now, guys, one of the things that he does, and he fishes the Delta, and every time I'm watching you on the Delta, by the way, I'm sitting there and there's reeds, buggy whips, whatever you want to call them. You're in this kayak, and I'm just sitting here thinking a bass boat is going to run him down. Just any second, a bass boat is going to come run him down. I'm like,
they don't like to get into that stuff, man. Some of that stuff I go into is like a jungle.
I don't know,
you know?
I don't know how deep you are into it, because most of the time I'm just sitting there like, I hope he's really in some shallow water. I just don't want to see Chris get chewed up. I'm like, oh, this man's scared.
Well, you know, I don't worry about the bass boats. I worry about the damn wakeboarders and jet skis, man. And there are so many of them where I fish. So many.
That's everywhere. That is everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it just it's nuts during the summer months. I'm actually looking forward to the fall because they won't be out there as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to get nice up tight to, we call them a tule, or it's like a bull rush. Yeah. It's like a bull rush or a rush or whatever. So we like to get right up next to those and, you know, pitch at them. If they're sparse, pitch into them, you know, throw a spinnerbait through them, knock that spinnerbait around. One of my things that I like to do, one of the things I like to do is like take a spinnerbait, you know, and run it through that sparse tule and just knock it around to kind of agitate it. I think it gets a bass's attention, and then he's thinking something's swimming away from there, and he's going to go murder it, you know?
Man, the Delta is something that is, now it's totally different than the lakes that I fish. I mean, you've got all the grass. It's shallow. It's dirty water for the most part. And I mean, it's just, and on top of it, it's a tidal fishery. So,
yeah,
you know, it's just totally different than what I fish. I mean, it's almost foreign to me.
Right.
If move into spawn and come up shallow, I'd have no clue how to fish it.
Well, and that's my problem, Hank, is I go to some of these lakes around here, right? And I'm always like looking at the bank. I'm always throwing at the bank. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I get thinking, because I catch fish. I mean, last year I was fishing, it was nighttime. It's probably 10 p.m. I took a big old worm and I threw it right up against the tule in a foot of water, and I caught almost a 7-pounder. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just chilling in a foot of water facing the bank. So these fish, I mean, they'll go into the deeper portions of the Delta. you know, into the channels and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, they're all over, man. They are just all over. So when I go to a lake like Berryessa and you got, you know, offshore structure, rock piles and stuff like that, I suck at fishing them. And that's one reason I've been trying to do more of it this year, is just to get better at fishing some of these lakes. So
the big thing I think with like offshore structure is you just have to believe in your electronics and what you're seeing in your electronics. I mean, that is 110% to me the key. You know, I did a video I think it came out last week, where I was kind of going through the settings on the Helix, the Mega Gen 2, and
right.
something that I actually left out that I really wanted to add in there. You know, I tell people, speaking of Dean, he's in here. So something that I really wanted to add that I kind of forgot was, you know, that to me, I think it's more important for the weekend angler to have the best electronics he can buy. The best electronics he can buy. Because I mean, if you're a pro, yeah, you're going to need those electronics. But I mean, the thing of it is you're fishing every day. You've got more time on the water than any 10 of us in this room combined, you know. So electronics are great for like a pro.
A pro does, not
yeah,
me.
Yeah, pro. Yeah.
Okay.
A pro.
Let's clarify.
A pro. I'm sorry. I skipped a word in my sentence there.
I'm not fishing every day. I haven't fished in 10 days. I'm not fishing 10 days and it's killing me, man. You know?
I'd say.
Jeez.
But
anyways, go ahead. Finish the thought.
But you know, I mean, the thing about it is us weekend warriors, because I only get to fish, and I don't know if a lot of guys know this. I never tell anybody this, but I only get to fish maybe one day a week if I'm lucky. You know, and so, you know, electronics to me helps narrow down what I'm looking for and what I'm looking at, and helps me put the puzzle together a lot quicker. It helps me figure them out so that I can catch them. And that's why I think like guys like us, we really need to put an investment in electronics, because electronics now, with the quality of electronics, there's no such thing as a bad unit anymore. I mean, truthfully.
Huh. Yeah, I run a Helix 5 Gen 2 with the down imaging, and it's nice in the Delta. Or not, no, sorry. It's not nice in the Delta. It's okay in the Delta, but it's nice when I get away from the Delta. In the Delta, just the nature of that fishery, I really don't need it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like people will ask me, hey, do I need it? You know, in this situation. And I'm like, nah, you probably don't, you know, just go fish it for a while and you'll figure it all out, you know, just because you don't have the depth changes, the drastic depth changes. I mean, there's times where you can find a ledge or a drop off or a pocket or something that you can hit. But 9 times out of 10, the fish are going to be where you think they're going to be. It's just a matter of tricking them into biting your stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But when you get into those lakes like Berryessa or even Clear Lake, even though Clear Lake's not a deep lake, it's pretty helpful in finding the bait and all that stuff.
Bass and Coffee. He's in California. I know you come in late. He said, how do you still have sunlight behind you?
Yeah, Bass and Coffee. I'm out here, man. It's what time is it? It's 5:17 still. So I could be fishing right now. I could be, but I'm hanging out.
Yeah.
So.
Hey guys, I do want to, hey man, give your podcast a big shout out too. By the way, guys, hands down the best fishing podcast out there. Don't bother listening to anybody else. Like he said, I've been on there twice, technically 3 times. And man, I'll tell you, I just like hanging the hell out with them. I mean, it's just a good damn time, to be honest. So
okay, so the podcast, I just commented the name of it, but it's called Yak Tactics, and it's me and my buddy Dean, and basically everything's focused towards kayak fishing, But we do have guys like you, Hank, on who are just super knowledgeable to come share information with us that benefit people, whether they're on the the bank in a boat or in a kayak. But we tend to kind of focus on the kayak stuff. We get multi-species. We talk about saltwater stuff. We talk a lot about bass. We talk a lot about trout too, Mackinaw, salmon. I mean, just whatever. We had this this gal on. She was awesome. I think she holds the unofficial record for tiger trout in Utah, or a state record, I think. Anyways, she's a musky fisherwoman. I don't know. But she was on. She's amazing. What's her YouTube name or her Instagram? I got a brain fart, buddy. Gosh.
I get those all the time. I just chalk it up to old age at this point.
Nebraska Muskie Girl or something like that. Yeah, Nebraska Muskie Girl. And she's just talented. So we get people like that to come in and chat with us. And honestly, for me and Dean, we just are using it as a way to like learn how to fish for other stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Like, no shame, right? Like we're both kind of geeks, so we get to learn technique stuff, talking to you. We get to learn about, graph stuff. When we started talking about fish finders, you and Dean went so hard into the BassGeek realm. You know what I mean? Like it was awesome. So
I can go for hours on that topic. Hours.
And it's great because we get this long form hour and a half time to just sit and chat with somebody about fishing. And it's just like we're drinking a beer, and half the time we're drinking a beer, you know what I mean, while we're doing it. And, it's just great. So it's called Yak Tactics. You can listen to it on iTunes and SoundCloud and I don't know, a few other places, I guess. So, but we have a lot of fun with it, man.
It's awesome. I mean, I told you guys, off audio off the air when the last time we did it, when you asked me to come on and do it the second time, man, it's fun. It is a fun format. It's fun to hang out. It's just fun to talk to you guys. You and Dean work real well together too. It's a good give and take. I have a really good time doing it. I would literally hang out with you guys constantly. So,
and thanks to Chris King Outdoors, who said, "Great podcast." Thank you, man. Glad you like it. So,
all right, guys. Now listen, if you've got any questions, go ahead and start firing them at us. We're going to go ahead and start taking some questions. Like I said, now Chris, he fishes for anything, so it's no holds barred. I know this is BassGeek, but man, this guy does and catches fish that I'd be like, I mean, I barely know the names of them, much less, how to catch them. Probably not even pronouncing half of them right. So, but I do want to give some shout outs out there to Chris King, to Bass Munitions, to North Florida. Hey guys, BA Fishing. It's good to see you guys. Bass Anglers Anonymous, Bass and Coffee. I done gave you a shout out. Kevin, what's up? But like I said, I will. I'm doing good, Bass Anglers Anonymous. But now I'm trying to read these as they pop up. But so Chris, other than bass, what is your favorite species to fish for?
Oh man, that's that's such a hard question. It's not even fair, dude.
And I'll follow that up by, and it's okay if it's not. You won't make me cry. Maybe I might shed a tear.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, tell me.
It's up in Oregon, around Klamath Falls, Oregon, in Lake Klamath. There's a subspecies of rainbow trout called a red band trout. Okay.
Mm.
And these trout get big. Like I caught my PB, which is, it was 5 pounds, a couple weeks ago. And that's
Wow.
like a medium one. That's a medium one, Hank. They get up to 10 pounds. You know what I mean? These are big native wild trout. They're not stocked. They're not a steelhead. They're not ocean run or anything like that. So those are my favorite. And here's one of the reasons why. If you hook into, let's say a largemouth that's 5 pounds, and you're throwing a jig or something, and you got him a braid, you set that hook, and he's usually at the boat. I don't know. He's usually at the boat in what? Less than a minute, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, when you're fishing for these trout, you're using maybe like a 12-pound, 10, 12-pound fluoro. You're fighting these fish for a while, and you get them to the boat, and you start to get the net down, right? And they go on a run, and they just start peeling that drag, man. And there's nothing like drag peeling that just gets me wanting to catch more of them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that's what it is for me. I like catching the greenfish. I really do, but I really like catching the rainbows and other trout species. So
I can understand that. So now let's see. Hold on a minute. I'm trying to do something here.
Here there was a question from BA Fishing. It says, Chris, how's your striper fishing? I suck at it. I get lucky occasionally. I came across the striper boil where they were just all busted on the surface and just started throwing stuff. And I caught about, I don't know, 15 shakers. So that's like small ones, 15 to 18 inches long. Caught those at all within about 45 minutes and had a blast. The biggest striper I've caught this year is only 5 pounds. But there are big striper that come in through the California Delta, 20, 30, 40, 50-pound fish that are sea run. So
yeah,
I've never caught one of those.
Now BA fishes some lakes, Tennessee River-esque lakes down in his area. And man, these are all, freshwater locked striper, but I mean, he catches some monsters down there. And he swore to me, BA, swore that you're taking me down there to go catch some.
I would hold him to it, man. I'd be like, BA, what the hell?
I'm going to. You heard it. Chris even said it. What the hell, BA?
Yeah, BA. Dang, man, 41. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, man. I mean, he catches some big ones on top waters, dude. These big old topwater baits that he's just ripping. It looks like the stinking Guggen squad down in fishing for peacocks.
Oh,
it's crazy. So,
man, that's awesome. They're out where I live. They're out there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't target them, and that's one thing. Like, I guess my thought is to either get good at something, you need to go after it for a while. You need some time on the water, right?
Yeah.
And I think I see. So what really impresses me about guys that are really good multi-species people is that they've devoted time and research to this fish, to this fish, to this fish. Now there's some stuff about fish that just translates, right? Especially predatory fish and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, North Florida Fishing. But I haven't really spent the time targeting those big striper when they start moving in the springtime for the spawn, or when they're moving in, chasing food up the Delta and that type of stuff, or some of the big resident striper. So I don't know.
But now you have caught and you have been fishing for sturgeon.
Yes.
So, and that fish, I don't know, man. It's just such a unique fish. That is definitely a bucket list fish. And watching that video where you're fishing, it just seems like the weirdest place in the world to fish for a big sturgeon when I'm watching that
Where I was
video.
at.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
where you were at, because it was almost like you were around all this kind of like a, I don't know, like the docks basically where you were at. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting here
I was
watching,
in
going, wow.
I
Yeah,
was I was around some dry docks basically.
yeah,
That's exactly where we were. And that's where they were stacking up. And Hank, there were just so many fish stacking up there that you would drop your bait down and you would feel it hitting fish on the way down. You know what I mean? So it was like a target rich environment. But getting a bite in that situation, getting a bite's not the hardest part. The hardest part is getting it in and keeping it from breaking off. When you're fishing around all that metal, there's so much stuff for those fish to run and
yeah.
just snap you off of, So we were going through a ton of gear. We were using 100 pound braid. I had a reel blow up on me, like the gears just blew up.
Yeah.
So at one point, me and Dean are, trading off reels, catching fish, and caught the biggest fish of my life, man. Freaking awesome.
And beautiful, guys. If you all haven't seen that video, go to his channel and look it up. It had him bowed up. I swear. I don't even know what rod you were using, but when I was sitting there watching it, it looked like you had one of those big offshore rods.
Yeah.
Just this huge rod. And it was just bowed straight up. It was like it was sitting on the bottom. I didn't know if you was ever going to get it up.
I forget the rod. It was a Penn something,
Yeah.
and it was just a heavy duty big game rod. And I was using I got one here. It's not even spooled up. But
while he's grabbing that, guys, I'm going to answer this question. Where was it? Do I fish finesse swim baits in the fall? I do in the later fall. To me, I use Bass Munitions Recon Shad, which is a lot like, it's a ribbed swim bait, so a lot like the Swing and Fat Impact by Kitech, and smaller. Now, if I'm fishing up shallow and I know they're feeding on small, around docks or around some grass line edges, I'll throw a finesse swim bait. To me, I like to target the bigger bass, so generally I'm going to move out to where I like to find the bigger shad on my sonar units and try and fish them. But I love to start throwing those when the temperatures really get cold. So I really like to start throwing those finesse swim baits and really just slow rolling them, ticking the rock and whatever might be down the bank as the water temperature really gets into the winter time.
Hank, I got a question.
All right.
You ever throw like a hair jig?
Yeah, all the time. Like now here's my question.
In the winter when the water's real cold, right?
No, actually I throw, well, it's kind of a hair / feather jig. Have you ever heard of they call them preacher jigs out here where I'm from? But it's a very big jig. And now during the wintertime, yes, I do throw feather or hair jigs. I've got a bunch of them ordered from a guy, and actually I showed them on one of the expo videos I did last year.
Okay.
But it's a little green and yellow jig, and you just kind of tight line it. Now a lot of guys will use it for float and fly.
Yeah.
But I despise a float and fly.
Why?
Because you've got to have a special rod. It's got to be 20 foot long. You've got to come back and drop the water. It's like fly fishing, it's just
casting one is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's so much work when I can just take a regular spinning reel and a little fly, and I can do the same exact thing by throwing it out there and let it pendulum back to me and just barely shaking my rod. same exact effect. Because all you're doing with a floating fly is once that bobber hits the water, it's just pendulum them back. And then once it goes all the way to the bottom, you're reeling it back in and you're making that cast again.
Right.
And so what we normally target are steep banks or drop-offs. So 45-degree banks with a floating fly. So you back off, you set that bobber in that line so that when you throw it out, it hits in front of that bank and it just contours that bank back down. Well, I can do that with a stinking spinning reel and a gulp minnow on a little ball head jig. So, we call that tight lining out here is basically what it is.
I got you.
But so what do you, so my first question is, I noticed you've been catching some smallmouth. Man, that picture, and it kind of distorted it. I've got to figure out how to do the thumbnails on these live streams. I haven't figured it out. But the picture that you sent me, man, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but make sure you check it out. He's holding up a smallmouth and just the scenery. That's the thing. Yeah. Chris fishes in some of the most beautiful, and I think I live in a beautiful part of the country.
You know, man.
Out in the Appalachian Mountains. But, you know, some of the scenery, the video where you went and fished Crater Lake, I mean, that lake is gorgeous. It's a place that I've always wanted to go visit. And I mean, the clarity of the water.
Even though I sucked,
well, you know, listen, if you've got to not catch nothing, it needs to be in a spot like that, because trust me, I'm going to be sitting there looking around. Even if I got a bite, I wouldn't notice it. I'd be like, golly, can you believe this?
Yeah, it was pretty beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So that one picture of that smallmouth, I don't get to fish for smallies that often. That's a little lake up in Northern California by Mount Shasta. And that's the mountain in the background is Mount Shasta, you know, with all the snow on it and whatnot. It's a little lake called Lake Siskiyou. It's got smallmouth in it, rainbow trout and brown trout. And the smallmouth, the majority of the numbers, they're pretty small. You know, we're talking little guys, right? But there's some big mamas in there. There are some, I saw with my very own eyes, some big smallmouth in that lake. They're few and far between, and they're pretty damn smart. So the one that I caught, you know what? I was so excited about catching it. I didn't get it on video. I didn't measure it. I didn't measure it.
Oh, man.
And I don't even think I weighed the damn thing, but I know it was my PB smallmouth. You know, it wasn't that big, but I don't get to fish for smallies that often. So, but man, just beautiful fish. So
yeah, that was like the video that I put out where I was fishing the topwaters for those suspended bass.
Oh yeah, that was a good video.
That big smallmouth, man, holy cow. When I brought it up, I never held it up in front of the camera, never did anything. I was just so jacked up, because if you'd have told me there was a 4 1/4 smallmouth in that particular lake, I'd have said, you are effing out of your mind. Because when I caught that fish, I was like, I cannot believe this giant smallmouth. Because I've caught smallmouth out of that particular lake, but that lake is generally a largemouth lake. And most of the smallmouth you catch, they're dinks in that lake.
Yeah.
So it blew my mind. The amount of locals that when I put that picture up, that was like, did you catch that in blah, blah, blah lake? That was, you know, messaging me. And I don't tell anybody that lake, because that lake is really small. And I just don't want people beating it up real bad.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it blew my mind. I mean, I couldn't believe it, that I pulled a 4-pound smallie out of that lake. That was nuts.
That's a great. And the great thing about smallmouth is a 4-pound smallie fights like a 6-pound largemouth, you know?
I know.
Or more.
Yeah.
They're great.
When I caught it, like, I knew immediately, like, oh my God, you know, I've got a big fish. And so I'm not even thinking smallmouth. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, this is like a 6 or 7 pound largemouth. Like, I could barely budge it. And what made the fight even better, I swear this was the best fight of any fish I've ever had. And what made it great was that when this fish come up to take that bait, he didn't get it in his mouth, so it just got him under the chin. So here's this
Oh,
4 pound, and he's upside down
he's pissed
digging.
off.
Yeah, the whole time. And I'm like, holy cow, what? I'm like, I'm afraid, because if I've got a swim bait on, I tell everybody, if I'm throwing swim baits, I'm throwing big, heavy jig hooks. I'm setting the hook, I'm wrenching them in. There's no fight to it. I've got 15-pound to 17-pound test line on. I mean, unless you're 15 to 17 pounds, we're not going to argue about it. You're coming to the boat and getting in it.
Well, yeah, it's you don't have a lot of like structure that's gonna fish is gonna break you off on, like
but
weeds.
Now with treble hooks, it's a totally different story, because you could easily pull them out of a fish. And so I knew I had these treble hooks in this fish, and it's literally, I think at one point, just laying upside down on the bottom, pulling against me. And I'm going, I don't know if I can get this fish off the bottom. I'm like, what is this thing? That was the best fighting fish I've ever caught in my life. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Huh.
And I bet it was like 19, maybe 20 inches long. And it weighed 428, man. I mean, the gut on it was huge.
That's great.
So, which like
nice
my
stocky football.
Yeah, which my personal best smallmouth is 5 pounds dead even. I caught it on a Demiki rig, and last year, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And that fish, generally, our fish are long and lean here, and that bass was almost a full-on 23-inch smallmouth that weighed 5 pounds. So it was a totally different body size fish. It was crazy. So, but now I
love to fish for smallies in Michigan. Chris King just said something. There's some big ones out there in some of those lakes, man. Geez.
Yeah, Michigan is. There's a few states I consider, bass havens: California, Michigan, Florida,
Texas, and Florida,
Texas, and you can put Alabama in there. There's a lot of a lot of good. Alabama's kind of fell off because you don't hear as much about Guntersville, but there's so many other lakes other than Guntersville in Alabama that are super good.
Can I pick your brain on something?
You can do whatever the hell you want, man.
Okay, so you probably heard or saw the schedule for, I think it was 2019, the Elite Series. They were going to be out here on the West Coast, 2 stops on the Columbia River, which I grew up kind of close to the Columbia.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
And then the Delta. And I was stoked for it to be on the Delta. Even though the Delta is awesome, you could get 1,000 boats out on the Delta and they would never see each other because it's just ginormous, right? Yeah. But the facilities around the Delta are freaking horrible. They can't hold that type of venue. You know what I mean? So I understand why it took a while to get them back, a major tournament back out to, the Delta. But now you've heard they've gone and they canceled it. Well, what's your take on that?
Well,
you understand why, right?
Yeah, I do understand why. And gosh, man, that is such a multi-layer question. I mean, it's first and most of all, I think it sucks that a professional league doesn't fish the country more evenly than it does.
Yeah, right.
But I also think, can we consider bass fishing a true professional sport by the way it's managed? I mean, it's taken BASS being honestly challenged for their supremacy by MLF to say, okay, everybody gets a check. Now, do you think they were able to do that just this year, that they found some sponsor that they could just have done that this year? Or has it been greed and bullshit, the reason why they didn't do it for so many years beforehand? You know, and the
Yeah, I don't know.
FLW
I don't know.
and the FLW has come out and said, you know what, we don't care what you think, we ain't changing. So
Yeah.
okay, I get it. I've preached how much I'm a fan of FLW, but you know, I don't know, man. You know, to me, if you're going to be a if you're going to call yourself a professional, then professionals make a living at what they do. Now, I'm not saying they
Right.
make a great living. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the pros? Is that, you know, as some people out there want to blame the pro staffs with all their shirts and logos and patch brands? I don't think it is, because companies are going to do what's best for companies. And that means
Right.
making money and advertisement and doing what's best for them, not supporting bass fishing. The only reason they support something is because it gets them in front of an audience that is paying
Right. There's a
eventually for
benefit
their
to them.
product.
Right.
So, you know, so my opinion on it is 110% this. I think the pro anglers and in the FLW until this year, all you had to do is have $50,000. Does that make you a pro? Does having $50,000 to pay entry fees make you an actual pro? I mean, in what other pro sport can you just say, "Hey, I want to be a pro tomorrow. Here's $50,000." Right? So,
Yeah. I don't
so
know.
my opinion is, in most pro sports, you have to qualify, come up through the ranks to get there, or be LeBron James, where you're just so damn talented that everybody's like, "We'll give you all kinds of money to play for us." You
Right.
know, and
Well, it's a little bit different because even though, well, you know, if you kind of, it's hard to find a parallel, I think, with fishing and other sports,
it is,
because with like football, baseball, basketball, you got young talent that's coming up through as early as high school and then into college, that these professional teams are thinking, okay, that guy could, you know, bring in eyeballs. He could help us win, which brings in more eyeballs so we can sell more stuff, right?
yeah,
So that's that. There's a commodity, right, that gets put on a team. If the guy's no good, he doesn't get, his contract doesn't get,
yeah,
you know, re-upped, right? So with fishing, there's not a team, right? You're basically your team.
you're right.
So you got to fork up and invest, right? And then get some paychecks to
Yeah,
keep rolling, right? You got to win tournaments, or else it don't make sense unless you're, you know, financially stable or just super wealthy because, you know, your granddad owned a gold mine or something like that, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
anyways, I kind of wonder, you know, racing, if you think about it, like car racing, they have teams and stuff, you know.
yeah.
What would be kind of cool is if sometime in the future, um, you know, bass fishing, there were teams, and I don't know. Okay, man, I didn't think this out. This is all spur of the moment,
Well, but
people.
no,
My
no. I mean,
analogy is
if
failing, and I'm going to
no,
give up.
but let's think about it. So bass fishing is closer to a middle ground between golf and rate and NASCAR. You're totally right. But you know, the thing about it is the PGA finds sponsorship to be able to, you know, uh, pay these players. The PGA, the major tournaments, find sponsorship to be able to pay these players. You know, even though they have to pay entry fees, you know, per those tournaments, you know, the payouts are enough that most guys can at least survive. You know, and this is something that we went into on the podcast a little while back when we were
Okay,
talking
yeah.
about when we were talking about oh crap, now I had a brain fart, I just went boo and it was gone.
Oh, the that article about whether or not social
Yeah,
media anglers were worth
yeah, you
anything.
know,
Yeah.
and you know, and again for me all that, you know, and I think a lot of your pro anglers are misdirecting their frustrations because the companies that deem themselves pro organizations aren't necessarily doing the things to market or to bring in the young talent, which they are doing better at. BASS is doing better at. So is FLW. You know, the two fastest growing sports in high school, or the fastest growing sport in high school and college, is bass fishing right now in the U.S.
Right.
So, you know, they're beginning to get that. But at the same time, we were talking about the difference between kayaks, and I know guys on here personally who don't fish tournaments because they're being priced out of you know, traditional bass tournaments because they can't afford a 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 bass boat and all the electronics and everything to go with it. You know,
Come
I
on
can't
and fish
afford
these kayak tournaments, y'all. You
it.
got great
Exactly.
payouts. They got great payouts. $50 entry. You know, first place is taking $1,800 out here in California at some of these tournaments. You got to fish against about 100 other guys,
Hey,
but
that's fine. You know, a pro
but
bass
they're paying
tournament,
out.
a bass tournament like the BFLs, the top out limit is 200 boats. So you're talking 400 guys, you know,
Yeah.
front and back. You know, you're competing against 200. So and so that's good. That's the thing that I'm happy, and I think you're going to see that field grow more and more as more people become more disillusioned with what bass fishing is, because bass tournaments, in my opinion, as much as I love them, as much as I love to compete, as much as I love to fish that style, you know, uh, they're going to have to really do something about uh, pricing people out, because you're not going to find the LeBron James if he can't afford a bass boat. You know, I mean, you're just not. And you know, not everybody is good enough to walk out and uh, get sponsors right off the bat. You know,
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a
it's
lot to it.
there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But
The guys in the comment section have been talking about MLF and the catchway release. I tell you, I don't watch it, hardly any TV. I don't have like the stuff that you need to watch television. You know what I mean? I watch YouTube,
yeah,
but I don't have television. I don't have cable or nothing like that. So, anyways, but I did see an MLF thingy. I don't know where I was at to watch it, but I did see one, and oh my gosh,
MLF.
it was riveting.
Yeah.
It was riveting.
You know,
I didn't even understand all the rules. I was like, how many fish does this guy get to catch? You know,
as many keepers as you can.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome, man.
Yeah, I love their format. You know, I think one of the biggest problems with bass fishing is that there's no stadiums. There's no stadiums. Even in golf, you've got the gallery, which is huge. You know, I mean, what they need to do is like literally pull barges out and set up just off of the holes where the guys are fishing.
Right.
With bleachers.
That would be awesome, actually. That would be pretty cool, you know. Well, somebody said something about everybody needs to go to the catchway release model. The reason why you see some of these bigger ones not doing that is because of the arena, right? Everybody's there for the weigh-in, and that's the spectacle, right?
Yep.
That's the live spectacle portion of it.
Now, I will say, I don't know if you've seen this, but Bass does guys, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a Toyota Big Bass, or they do a specific Texas Big Bass tournament. Somehow BASS is involved in it, I think. But what they do is they do the catchway release, but you keep and you don't weigh your biggest bass. So at the end of the day, you still bring your biggest bass to the weigh-in scale. So at the end, you still have the spectacle. Now, I would think do the two biggest bass. That way, you know, you get the glory shot. But I think that's
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a good format where you get the best of both worlds. So
that is cool. Yeah, I don't, being in a kayak, we measure our fish 9 times out of 10. There's some tournament groups out there where they'll put a live well on their kayak and they'll do it that way. But we measure on a measuring board. And I'll tell you one thing that I always kind of look at the guys in the boat sometimes. So some of y'all, I'm jealous, who put together a good old bag. And then you take your Instagram picture and you're like, yeah, you got 4 studs. And me, the best I can do is this, right? Like, one okay fish at a time.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a live well. So I think that's pretty kind of cool. So anyways, I was telling you, I'm going fishing on a boat tomorrow. The last time on the Delta, yeah. And I fished the Delta from a boat one time for like an hour and a half. And I was like, okay, this is so weird. Like, it's just different. You know what I mean? So I'm doing it tomorrow. And I'm pretty excited about it. It'll be good.
Yeah, I hope you go out and crush them. All right, guys. I'm sorry if I've missed any big bass.
I think you've missed a few questions. I think so.
If we miss some questions, guys, repost them for us. I'm scrolling back here at the same time to look and see.
Yeah, that catch weigh release, that unlimited thing, Chris King Outdoors was just talking about it. So much fun to watch, dude.
It is.
Just the totals adding up, and they're catching barely legal little keepers, and you're thinking, oh man. But it's a numbers game, just productivity,
Yeah. Well, and what I love about it is that, they take them to a lake that they may or may not have fished. The refs actually drive them out there, so they don't know, they don't even get to use their boats. So these guys drive them out. They bring in their gear, but they pack what they think they might need. They have no clue where they're going until they get to the ramp.
Dude, I had no idea that was part of it. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's awesome. And I don't know how that's going to work, because see, they're the one that's stepping up now. They're the one that's basically scared the bass out of bass, because a lot of people are jumping to that format, because Bass Pro Shops has really stepped up and started paying. Well, they're on, what are they on, guys? The Outdoors channel, something like that. And apparently they've been the highest rated show on that channel for like the past 6 months. So they're getting the ratings. They're getting that, that push behind them right now. So it's going to be really interesting. So you've always got your traditionalists, that, hate YouTubers and hate guys like me that hold up the 4 fish because they think, you shouldn't hold up those 4 fish. Don't put them in the live well and carry them around in your live well, if you're not in a tournament yet. I've fished, I don't know how many tournaments where I've sat there and watched 30 or 40 fish on the release. Yeah, they're alive, but there's 30 or 40 fish out there floating because the morons don't know how to fizz a fish the right way, and they're all sitting there dead. And that's happened in tournaments. So, people that want to talk to me about tournaments and, what YouTubers and social media guys want to do or how they're treating fish, trust me, tournaments have hurt way more fisheries than we ever will. So, and it just kind of ticks me off when I have to hear stuff like that. Sorry, rant.
Rant. Jeez, come on, man.
And I'm a huge advocate for fishing tournaments, man. I love them, but there's just too many guys out there that just don't know how to properly take care of their fish, especially when they catch them out deep. So
we talk about practice.
We talk about practice. Practice.
Practice.
Bring up a little Denny Green. Playoffs. Or that was the Jets guy. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Practice was Allen Iverson, wasn't it?
Yeah, Allen Iverson was practice.
Yeah, that was a good quote.
Yeah.
Anyways, Paul Adriano, I'll read questions to you. How's this, Hank? I'll read the questions to you.
I don't care.
He has been wanting to know what to use up north this time of year for bass. What do you think?
Well, how far north are you? First off,
that's a good question.
Give me an ideal of the style of lake. I mean, if you're up north right now, I know the water temperatures. I was talking to Tackle Junkie earlier, and I know the water temperatures were already cooling off. There was a significant difference, and he's not that much farther north than me. You know, for me, you're talking about the fall transition, and I'll tell you, one of the best anglers I know is the guy that actually owns Ledgehead Lures, and he told me one time, when it comes to the fall transition, if you catch a bass on one lure, just put it down the rest of the day, because you're not going to catch another one on it, because it's this time of year is truly about junk fishing. Cover water, fish the situation in front of you. If you've got grass, you know, throw a frog on it, throw a walking bait over top of it, you know, throw a spinner bait through it. You know, really, you know, this is the time of year. Yeah, just like Chris King says, spinner baits, lipsless, cranks, jigs, jerk baits, A-rigs, swim baits. Man, you better have 30 rods on your deck right now. You know, if you're going to begin to see these videos with me, and I know I'm bad. I've got 30 rods on my deck anyway, but you know, right now it's going to be that time when you know, they're going to hit one thing here, one thing there, and
yeah,
it's just this time of year is junk fishing. Your best bet is to put your trolling motor down, or put your paddles in the water and cover water quick and fish fast. So,
yeah.
I brought the kitchen sink the other day. Bass Anglers Anonymous said, "Hey man, if they'll bite it, and they probably will after you go through about the first 30 other baits, yeah, throw that daggone kitchen sink out there."
Yeah,
that's right, Dean. The struggle is real.
Yeah. I was watching. I don't. Should I say a name of another channel?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay, everybody watches these guys, the Tactical Bassin dudes. They
Love
put out a
those
video,
guys.
I think, this morning about Barry S. I'm fishing Barry S. on Sunday, so of course I was interested, right? And it looked like they were throwing everything at these fish: spoons, underspins, you know, different swim baits, just everything at them. And they were hitting a little bit of everything, you know. And like you said, getting the pattern. Finding a pattern is it can be kind of tricky, you know. So one of the things I catch, everybody catches a lot of fish on, is a Senko, and we throw a lot of Senkos, stick baits. It doesn't have to be a Senko, stick baits out here in the Delta, just throwing them at cover and, you know, letting them do what stick baits do, go like this, you know, and then fish eat it. So, but I haven't caught a fish on one, and it's been so nice in a way, Hank, because I haven't caught a fish on a stick bait in about 4 weeks. I've been like, yeah, this is cool. Let's throw the spinner bait. All right, you know, catching them on all sorts of stuff other than a stick bait. So yeah, it's been a good change of pace.
Yeah, I know how it feels. I'm ready to change up. I'm ready, because I love to throw swim bait. I love to fish them out deep. But golly, and I know the bass have seen every swim bait in the world, that, you know, because at one time, you know, I've got 4 guys on my boat, and we're all throwing swim baits at them. You know,
right.
So they've seen swim baits.
That's just like an A-rig, but just spread apart, right?
Believe it or not, that's actually a tactic I use. I tell people all the time, I'm like, okay, when I cast, try and get within a foot of me. Because
like
believe it or not,
you're like a school.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, there you go. I'm smarter than I even knew. Gosh dang it.
But now the Delta's big lipless crank. I would think that lipless would start becoming, you know, really hot right now.
It'll start popping up. You know, jerk baits too pretty soon. The Delta water, sometimes it can get really warm. This year the Delta, it was fairly cool. pretty much all year. And usually we have a really good punch bite, right, Hank?
Yeah.
This year, the punch bite for me was horrible. They've been doing a lot of aquatic vegetation control out where I fish, which means they're spraying a lot of chemicals and killing a lot of weeds. So when they kill those weeds, they break down, and the available oxygen in the water where those fish like to hide starts to go down. So I think it's moved the fish to different spots.
Yeah.
So it's been frustrating kind of adjusting to some of those real life situations, but we're still catching fish. The punch bite just kind of sucks. But anyways, I don't even remember what I started talking about. Oh, there's not as many weeds out there.
Yeah.
So, throwing a crankbait, lipless, just all that stuff. It's all viable. Because here's the deal. On one side of a channel, typically what you got is you got riprap. So big freaking, rocks. Then there's like a middle hump in this channel, and it's got tules and a slow weedy bank. And then on the other side, another riprap wall. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you can crank that one side. If you love cranking, you can crank that one side, throw some other stuff at it too. And then you're more like finesse natural presentations over towards the middle, in that middle of that channel. Lots of different ways to fish the Delta. So
right now I didn't get to go out this past week, but the last time I was out, the bass in my summer schools are starting to dissipate. So you go out there, they're still there, but for like the past month, they've been suspended up in the water. So they'll be over 35, 36 foot of water, but they'll be sitting in that 19 to 20 foot range. And, they're starting to get tougher and tougher. And I've even noticed, as I come in, you start to see some laydowns that run out into that creek channel, and right on the tips of the laydowns in the early morning, you'll see these groups of fish, because what they're starting to do is they're starting to pull up to those trees. And they'll use those trees to pull up to go from that creek channel. They'll use it as an intersection and move up shallow, and then they start to spread out and feed up shallow on, the shad, whether it's up there, or the panfish, bluegill and that sort of stuff. So, but they start getting real finicky. Drives me crazy.
Yeah. Bass Anglers Anonymous just put something down about the Z-Man chatterbait. Chatterbaits are great right now. I'm going to be throwing chatterbait a lot tomorrow.
Yeah, I could see a chatterbait working out there, especially around that grass. I could see it just killing out there.
So here's an interesting thing about tomorrow. The guy I'm going fishing with, he has a dog who always goes out with them, and his dog can get kind of hyper. So it's my first time fishing with this gentleman, and he said, hey, because of the dog and because, it's two guys on a boat together for the first time, I'd prefer no treble hooks. So I am kind of stuck with stuff like spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, drop shot, you know what I mean? Some worms, like Texas rigs, some flipping stuff. What else? I'm trying to think of what I could do top water, maybe like a jerk bait, I don't know. What do you think? If you were handed that deck of cards, how would you roll with that?
A fluke. A fluke. If you want to try a buzz bait on top,
I guess I could do a buzz bait in the morning.
Golly, I don't know. What else? Yeah, frog. I was going to say frog, especially around that grass.
Yeah, frogs are great off the mats and stuff in the grass. I've been trying to think, okay, what am I going to take? Because I'm not the take 30 rods type guy. I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the take 5 rods type guy, you know? And I was really hoping to throw a crankbait and a jerk bait a little bit. That's all I really wanted with treble hooks.
yeah,
And I totally get it. If it was my boat and my dog, I'd probably say the same damn thing. You know, like, hey, let's get to know each other a little bit before we go hooking each other or my dog, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I get that. I've never been smart enough to say that to anybody. I'm just like, yeah, bring anything. You got something that's got 30 treble hooks in it? Sure, throw that. Maybe we'll catch
Yeah,
them.
throw it. You want to shoot a
So,
shotgun off that stuff? Let's do it, right?
yeah.
Hey.
My buddy, the one of the guys that used to fish with me a lot, he the first time I ever pulled out an Alabama rig, and in Virginia you can have pretty much as many hooks as you want. So I pull out this Alabama rig. It's got 5 hooks on it, a bunch of blades, and I'm sitting on the front of the deck. He's on the back deck, and I draw back. I'm kind of paralleling this steep bank, and I guess it kind of goes off the side of his head by about 3-4 feet. And after that, he was like, "Good Lord, what are you throwing?" Because he'd never seen one before. He's like that. He started calling it the eagle claw of death, because he was like, "Man, that thing's just going to come back and grab hold of you and rip your whole face off if you hit me with it." But a big A rig, man. I mean, just could you imagine that wrapping around somebody's
Yeah.
head while you're trying to
Oh
cast
my
it?
gosh. That would be
So,
horrible.
but he calls it the eagle claw of death. He's like, anytime you pull that out, I just sit down. I'm like, man, I ain't going to hit you with it. I pay attention to where you're at.
That's
I try to be
crazy.
a safe angler.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a good goal to have, right? Let's not hook each other. How many times have you hooked yourself?
Um, yeah, I think I hook myself every time I go fish. Except
What?
my biggest problem is I don't hook myself bad, but I'm really bad about, as I'm tying stuff on, my fingers generally are bleeding somewhere, in 3 places every time I'm done fishing, because I can't seem to hold on to anything. But as far as hook myself past the barb, uh maybe twice. And it's never been bad enough to where I couldn't just grab a hold of it and pull it right out. So I've been lucky that it's not been as bad as how you hooked yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Yeah. That was the only time I've done it too. And besides like little ones.
I will tell you guys a funny story though. Okay, here's a funny
Okay,
story.
let's hear it.
All right. So I'll actually tell you 2 funny stories. Both of these include my brother. My brother, I love him to death, but fishing with him is very dangerous. So,
Okay.
prime example, back when we first, when we were growing up fishing, we'd fish out of a John boat, little old 14-foot John boat. And I used to tell him all the time, 45, 45, because I'd always be at the back running a trolling motor. Well, I'm sitting back there one day, brand new spinning reel. A few minutes before that, thank God I had sunglasses on. A spinnerbait comes back and goes pink right off my sunglass, my lens. About 3 or 4 casts after that, I see him draw back, and I set my rod down, kind of across me this way. Here comes that spinnerbait, grabs my rod, whoo, right out in the middle of the lake.
Ooh.
So, my brother's kind of dangerous.
Jeez.
But this isn't the funny part. So, and it really, this wasn't his fault, but we're sitting out there on my little lake, my top secret Lake P, and I've got 20 rods out like always. And I'm bad about not hooking. I've got better about this because of this lesson. So I'm bad about just reeling my bait up to the tip and just kind of setting it there. Well, on my boat on the passenger side, there's this perfect little place that's kind of a quarter moon, and it's just like this perfect place to just sit down and get stuff out of the main box and tie stuff on. we've been throwing jerk baits that day. It was late spring, post spawn. We're throwing jerk baits, and he's up there fishing, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna tie this on. I sit down, and all of a sudden, I feel something go, boom, and I'm like, oh man, what is that? And I stand up. So I've got 2 hooks of a jerk bait clear through my shorts right into my ass.
Whoa.
Now here's where it gets funny.
Whoa.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, you got to come here and jerk these out of my rear end, right?
Oh.
So, I'm standing up and he's sitting there and he's like, I can't get, I can't get there. I can't see what's going on. So I end up literally getting on all fours on the front deck while he's standing behind me with the pliers. And we start drifting by this campground, and there's just people standing there looking, while literally here I am on all fours, and he's standing behind me like this. Those people had to be looking at us like, what in the hell is going on there?
What kind of lake is this, Margaret? That's amazing.
And I swear it was later. It wasn't like two weeks later. We're back on that lake fishing a jerkbait. And the next thing I know, he catches one, but it's like we're throwing Smithwick suspended rogues, just the standard size. And this little old spotted bass that literally couldn't have been 2 inches longer than this yeah. Smithwick. He brings it in, and he's a little spookier than me. And he's like, I can't get hold of that bass. So I reach up to grab that bass, and about the time it goes to flop, and when it flops, it breaks the line, it comes off, hooks me dead in the center of the chest, and I'm standing there, and I just let out this, squall like a Bigfoot just got his toe stepped on right in the middle of the lake, because now I've got this top treble hook stuck right in the center of my chest with this 8-inch bass hanging from it, flopping right here, and this treble hook just digging in even deeper to the center of my chest, and this bass just flopping from it, me standing there looking at him going, oh, just so yeah. So I've got a giant bass, or an 8-inch bass with a treble hook hanging from my chest, literally dug in through my shirt, and I had to get that loose. And he's just standing there like, I'm not touching it, and I'm like, oh yeah, you are. You're grabbing that fish because I've got to get this hook out of my chest. So yeah, wow. he was always super dangerous to fish with. I don't know what it was with him.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, I would have probably called the law. Kids, get your
get your stuff. It's time to go.
Yeah, here I was screaming, "Get it out of my ass!"
That's the last thing they wanted to hear. I guarantee it.
Just pull it.
Oh gosh, this is taking an awkward twist.
Yeah, it was bad. All right, guys, listen, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's gone every which way, but probably the right way tonight. Anyway.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really, really appreciate it. And I really enjoy your channel. I think you do a great job of, entertaining and educating folks out there. And yeah, I learn a lot from you.
Thanks, man. And likewise, I love watching your channel. I love, I don't get to fish for a lot of different species. So, I get to live vicariously through you a little bit there, because if I took up any other species and bought more equipment, I'd be divorced.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but Hey guys, make sure you go out and subscribe to Chris. Man, he is a do it all. I mean, he does some family camping trips. He has what are some of the boxes that you do? Some of the you do hunter haul boxes, or
Yeah, I do some unboxing videos and talk about gear and stuff like that. It's the least favorite thing I do on my channel, to be totally honest, Hank. Like,
but a lot of people like it.
some people like it. The thing that I like about it is it gets me gear that I can test for content.
Yeah.
And then it also I use a lot of that stuff and I give it back and giveaways and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But like I said, guys, make sure you go out and subscribe to Chris. He fishes from yaks, from shore. He wades. He fishes for all different kinds of species. I enjoy his channel, guys. I mean, and obviously he's a good guy if he had to sit around and listen to me talk all night long. So, guys, just I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everything you guys do, and I want to give a shout out. I know I haven't shouted you guys out like I normally do, but I really appreciate you. We hit 14,000 just the other day. We're already
that's awesome.
almost ready to hit 14,300. So it's incredible. I appreciate you guys sharing BassGeek. Make sure you share Out West with Chris. Thank you. You know, my channel grows exclusively on the people that support me. I'm not in league with, these, you know, YouTube powerhouse companies. We'll just say that, seem to support a lot of other guys. I do it with you guys. I do it supporting my local guys who I use their equipment. You know, I grow because of the subscribers, and I just want to say thanks, guys. I want to say thanks, and I grow because of people like Chris too. Chris has done a tremendous job for me. Having me on Yak Tactics. I couldn't believe after the first time I was on Yak Tactics how many people came to me and said, "Man, we subscribed, loved that." I mean, it was, it's awesome, and it's guys like Chris who have reached out to me, who have really promoted me and helped me out, and I know Chris. I try to promote him and help him out. So please go out and subscribe to him, guys. Watch his stuff, support him like you support me. And Jack B, what's up? I just appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So again, I'm rambling. You guys know I do it all the time. You guys rock. I'll see you later. Sometime.